Hi, in today's video, I want to talk with you about how some special needs trusts have been drafted poorly. So many different families have come to our law firm with issues like the person that we wanted to be the manager of the trust doesn't want to serve anymore, or they're no longer alive. What should we do now? Can we change this? Or they might share with me, the way that our inheritance is set up, I'm worried that my child might still be kicked off of public benefits. These are issues that can add to a whole lot of stress and keep parents up at night, which is something I hate to see. In today's video, we're going to talk about special needs trusts gone wrong and what you can do to fix them. So when you're setting up a special needs trust, really, I think the most important choice is who's going to act as successor trustee. That is, who's going to manage the special needs trust. Maybe you've named someone as successor trustee of a special needs trust, and now they're not available. What can you do? What if that special needs trust has already been funded? Somebody's died and money has gone in there. What can be done at that point? Well, the challenge is a lot of special needs trusts don't have language included where they allow somebody else to designate a new successor trustee or to give somebody just the power to do that even if they can't act as trustee themselves. And I think that language is super important when you're dealing with special needs trusts or any irrevocable trusts. I've actually had to go to court to get the judge to allow a friend of the family who was named a successor trustee to resign and then appoint a professional as successor trustee. That friend of the family had come to me and she was distraught because she always tried to support the family in that way. She was a neighbor. But then they named her as trustee of her disabled friend's trust. And she was like, I can't do this. This will get in the way of our friendship. I'm also a single mom. I'm raising a teenager. What can I do? But there was no language in the trust to allow her to resign as trustee. So we had to go to court. And anytime you're going to court, oh my goodness, I know I'm a lawyer, but boy, I hate the court system. And so you're basically going to court, you're filing fees, you're paying an attorney to draft this petition. It usually takes several months. You have a court hearing. We just want to avoid that. So the more flexibility you can put into your trust, you'll avoid the court system. And let me mention, if you're struggling with who to name as successor trustee for your loved one's special needs trust, I've actually done a video on that, so watch this video right here. So in this client situation, the parents also could have avoided this if they really looked around and found a very good professional fiduciary, whether this is a bank, a trust company, or a private professional fiduciary, and even some nonprofits act as trustee. If they really did their due diligence and found someone who is not only available, but also willing and has the time and the energy, which is usually a professional. I know you might have to pay a little bit more, even though regular people who act as trustee should get paid, but if you're paying a professional, it might cost a little bit more, but then you know that it's going to work. You have peace of mind that that person's done this before. They're going to take care of your child properly. So my advice to the wise is really look into a professional fiduciary if all possible. So the special needs trust is really an instruction manual for the successor trustee, and it says, here's how I want things to be used and distributed. Well, one thing I see in several special needs trusts that I've encountered recently is that they use the wrong distribution standard. Okay, and it can go either way. So one way this happens is that the standard is too restrictive. It says that people can only use this trust money if it won't interfere with the disabled person's public benefits. Well, what if the trustee looks at the situation and says, well, actually it makes sense if the public benefits go a little bit lower if they can get this other benefit. And let me give you an example. So when your child is receiving SSI, Supplemental Security Income, they might get about $1,000 a month in California, but that would be reduced by about $250 to $300 a month if somebody else is paying for their food and housing. Well, suppose the special needs trust wants to pay for the food and housing because, boy, they can get a really nice $2,000 a month apartment. However, they're going to lose $250 to $300 a month. Well, when you do the math, it really makes sense to have that $2,000 being paid out and to lose the $250 or $300. But some special needs trusts say that a loss of even $1 of public benefits is not acceptable. So I suggest look at the distribution standard and make sure that it's not too limiting. So the other way that the special needs trust can go wrong with the wrong distribution standard is being too permissible. So a special needs trust works because the beneficiary doesn't have any control over the trust assets. They can't revoke the trust, they can't demand money out, they can't be a trustee. They're not entitled to the money in any way. The trustee has to have sole discretion over how to spend the money, okay? And they're not supposed to be getting money automatically, nothing like that. Well, so I had to modify a trust a few years back where they said that the beneficiary is to receive all the income of the trust. Well, you can imagine if you're getting SSI and medi-cal, that's going to interfere, because now all of a sudden your SSI is being reduced dollar for dollar by this passive income that you're getting from the special needs trust. So we don't ever want to see that. The other problem that we see pretty frequently actually is where distributions of principal can be made from the HEMS standard, which is for their health, education, maintenance, and support, HEMS or HEMS. Now that language actually has been found under California law to show that the trust counts as a resource for public benefits purposes, so it's not protective of the public benefits. Now you might think, well, that's weird. What's the difference? A trustee can have sole discretion, but then the trustee shouldn't be required to distribute for health, education, maintenance, and support. Well, yes, because the court decided that everybody was entitled to something for their health, education, maintenance, and support. And so therefore they're entitled to some of it, so therefore the trust doesn't work. So I've had to go to court several times to modify special needs trusts that have the wrong language in it, that say it's to be used for health, education, maintenance, and support, when in fact it needs to say the trustee has sole discretion. So the last thing I want to talk about where I see special needs trusts go wrong is when the remainder beneficiaries are not spelled out clearly enough. So as you know, if you're a special needs parent or if you know one, we really advocate for our kids. We spend all of our time and energy for our kids, whether they have disabilities or whether they're neurotypical, but we're just thinking about our kids. And I know I meet so many families where we say, okay, but if your kids aren't alive or upon their death, where should things go? And we just haven't thought about that. I mean, I have an 8-year-old and 9.5-year-old. I assume that they're going to outlive me. Now, they may not, but I feel like that's the parent's worst nightmare, right? So we assume they are, so we don't really think about who's going to be the backup beneficiary, who's going to be the contingent beneficiary. Upon your disabled child's death, where is the money going to go? And we have to spell that out clearly. That's the stuff that fights are made of. If you name a charity, you should spell out the charity's full name and their location. So for example, if somebody wants to name Amnesty International, well, is that a local chapter? Is that the New York center? We don't know, right? So, and we also want to say, if you're naming individuals, what happens if one individual isn't alive? Does it go to their kids? Does it go to the other individuals named? So sometimes people will think, well, I have time, I'll just fill that part in later, and then it never gets filled in. There's no default for this, so it has to go to court. And remember what I said about going to court? You don't want to do it. So definitely make sure that all the terms of your child's special needs trust are spelled out. So these are just a few of the ways that trust can go wrong and where you'll want to circle back, hopefully before it becomes irrevocable, so that we can fix it. So if you're a special needs parent, I urge you to work with somebody, an estate planner who specializes in special needs planning. You can see all these different ways that these can go wrong. Sometimes estate planners have a little button that they can push and populate a special needs trust, but that's not sufficient to make sure that your trust will really work and the next generation won't have to go to court to fix things. Okay, so now you know all about the issues that can arise when a special needs trust is drafted improperly. You may have some questions about how to properly set up a special needs trust. Be sure to watch this video here on how to set up a special needs trust in California. We talk about how to set up this type of trust as well as how to maximize your child's public benefits. So I'll see you over there.